Welcome to week 3 of the North Carolina high school football season. Welcome to our educational video series for officials as we look to improve our skills and our knowledge of the game and rules. This week, our first couple of videos are going to focus on the safety of officials and our mechanics. Keep in mind during the whole entire video series that we can only take a look at the video and know what's in the video. There may be other factors related to each play that we are unaware of. So let's get started. First play here is a kickoff, and our focus is going to be on the umpire. You're going to see down here around the 25-yard line on the near sideline. And the issue here is, as we take a look at this, we're going to see the umpire eventually make a diagonal run across the field, and we're going to see an arrow here of where he makes the run. And the problem is with this is when he runs into that area, he puts himself at that near hash. And if this kickoff, which goes to the far side of the field, if this runner would change direction and come back, that would put the umpire in the middle of the play. Instead of the umpire officiating the play, the umpire would become part of the play and jeopardize our safety. So we want to stay on the sidelines, as these arrows indicate. We want to go up the sideline and then come across the field. And that's mechanics, but it's also very important for our safety and the safety of the umpire, because if this play changes directions, you go from officiating the play to becoming part of the play. Our next play again deals with the head linesman and the safety of the head linesman. As you can see here inside the yellow circle, the head linesman is right on top of the number somewhere. So that means he's off the sideline. And as we run on the sideline, we want to officiate from the sideline and then accordion in after the play. That arrow showed where the head linesman ends up going. So you see a flag, we have a penalty, the head linesman starts in, and then he starts to retreat because his safety is threatened. The ball's coming his way right at him. So he switches from being an official, and he goes to being, I've got to get out of the way before I get run over. My safety comes priority. And that makes it more difficult to officiate the play when we're more concerned about our safety, rightfully so, but we want to stay on the sidelines so we can stay put and officiate the play. Our next play here is a field goal attempt from the 32-yard line, and we're going to talk about the positioning of the two officials under the uprights. And as this play develops, we're going to see the positioning of one of the officials is not underneath the uprights at the right location. And the problem here is you want to be positioned underneath that upright so you can look straight up. If this ball is close to that upright, and you have to judge on this by you being near the pylon here, you're out of position. And it's going to make it easier for a coach to question it or debate it, whether you had the current call or not if it's close. So we want to get underneath that upright so we can look straight up at the upright and be in proper position. Our next play here, we're going to have a running play, and we're going to have a flag thrown by the umpire. And the focus on this play is once we have this flag and the play is over, we need to give the stop the clock signal. And whoever threw the flag, can initiate that. But other officials need to mirror that so we get the clock stopped, because we're going to stop the clock because we have a flag. And as you can see in this situation, when the ball's down and almost 3 seconds goes by and the clip cuts off and we can't tell when they give the stop the clock signal. But from the time the player goes down till the end of this clip is 3 seconds. And we still don't have a stop the clock signal from any of the 4 officials that we can see in this clip. And so we want to give that stop the clock signal. And maybe not all officials saw the flag, but the ones that did, or the one that threw it, needs to give the stop clock so we can get the clock stopped properly. So another good practice or procedure on this play is, if you are the official who threw the flag or another official who notices the flag, give several blasts on your whistle so that we can notify the other officials that we do have a flag, and so that we can all give the stop the clock signal and get the clock stopped and then administer the penalty from there. Next play here, we're going to have a foul for a red collar in the backfield around the 50-yard line. A defensive player grabs the quarterback by the back of his jersey. But we need to notice that the ball's on the 41-yard line to the snap. So we're at the 41-yard line on this play. As the play develops, you're going to see the line judge does a good job here of recognizing the foul and throwing the flag for what looks like on the video a horse collar, and I think that's what they probably called on the field, as the defensive player grabs the back of the jersey and pulls the player down. So that's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot on this play. So if we go to the 41-yard line and we walk off 15 yards, we should be up near or approximately around the 26-yard line. Now, the angle of this camera doesn't give us the best view, but it does look like this ball is somewhere around the 29-yard line. So the point here is, officials on the field, if you recognize that the enforcement distance of the penalty has not been properly enforced, you need to step up You need to stop this play and let's get the ball moved to the proper spot. Also, head linesman and line judge, you can help the umpire. And umpire, you can work with the head linesman and line judge to help ensure that we get the proper distance enforcement on our penalties so that the ball's in the correct spot for the next play. Before we look at our next plays, we're going to look at Rule 6.1, Article 3B. And it states that after the ball is marked ready for play and until the ball is kicked, the following formation requirements must be met. And B, it says no K players other than the kicker may be more than 5 yards behind the kicking team's free kick line. A satisfies this rule when no foot is on or beyond the line, 5 yards behind K's free kick line. The penalty is 5 yards. It's a dead ball foul, and signals 7 and 19 are used. Okay, keeping in mind the Rule 6 we just read, notice the player right here with his foot that is beyond the 5 yard line. And so we want to identify this. And as you can see across the field, we have the back judge with his hand over his head waiting for the ready for play. And so we want to identify this player. And if we flag it, that's great, and we want to flag it. But if we don't, and we want to give them a second chance, let's say, and we want to talk to them and talk to the team, that's possible. But as we see here on the next kickoff, that player is doing it again, and so it's evident that we haven't addressed it and we didn't flag it, and so it's going to continue. So we need to be aware of this. We need to be aware of this rule, and we need to address it. And if it's you're flagging it, maybe the first time you want to talk to a coach early in the season, talk to the player and get it straight. But if they do it again, we need to get it flagged, get it called as a dead ball, and that's the way that they're going to fix it. Otherwise, this will continue into next week's games. Before we get into our next play, which is a kickoff, let's review and become familiar with Rule 2.3, Article 10, which says a blindside block is a block against an opponent other than the runner who does not see the blocker approaching. So keep this rule in mind as we get into the next play. As we look at this next play, which is a kickoff, we're going to look at two things here: positioning and safety of the officials, and then the potential of the blindside blocks. And after looking at this play, you're going to realize how much happens on a kickoff that we have to rule on and how we have to be diligent in where we look at and focus. So as we look here, first of all, we see the ball somewhere around probably the 16, 17 yard line, and we see the referee in the picture coming up, winding the clock. Now, just a word suggestion here. Stay back on the goal line until you're sure the ball is not going to come back towards you or towards the goal line. Wait for this player to gain possession or whatever so that you're not in the area of the runner. Now, down here in the corner, we can slightly see the umpire's hand. He has started to come on the field. You want to be careful of that again, because as you'll see this play develop, you can see right now the runner decides to change direction, and he's going to go back the way he just came from, which is where the referee is. And so the referee is going to have to back out of there for his safety and not become involved in the play. As you can see right here, he's running right at the referee. Next, we're going to switch upfield to around the 30 yard line, and we're going to take a look at the block that occurs right there at the 30 yard line coming downfield by one of the receiving team players on number 8, right here inside the gold circle. We're going to see this block, and remember, the blindside block, if he doesn't see it coming, it can be ruled a blindside block. But the other question here is, did someone see this block on the crew? Did the official covering this area, which most likely would be the head linesman, see this block clearly, and then they be able to rule on it appropriately to say yes, it was, or why it wasn't. Then next, we have another block here, number 8 in white is going to block this player, and the question comes again: did we see this block, and why or why not did we not flag it potentially? Was it or was it not a blindside block, and did we see it clearly? And as you can see here now, we have the umpire on the field and we have the referee running backwards to recover the play. Next up, we have two blocks that come up back to back here, one right there and then the other one inside this circle, and these are two, again, potential blindside blocks. I think the first one gets flagged right here, this blindside block, because the runner or the defensive player does not see it coming. The second one, you could say it was a blindside block, but it's not as forceful as the first one. But again, we need to be able to see these. We need to be able to rule on them and make a decision on whether they are or are not a blindside block. In our next play, we're going to look at a play that actually has two fouls. We have a foul that is thrown by the referee that you'll see right here that looks like a hold. And we're not going to so much question whether it was a hold or not. We're just going to say it was a hold. This is a live ball foul, a hold. And then we're going to have a second foul where the line judge throws the flag. And the question here is I'm not sure whether this was a flag for maybe a face mask. I can't really tell, which would be a live ball foul, or as the play continues, you'll see action out of bounds. Was it a dead ball foul? So the question here is, do we have two live ball fouls, one on the defense, one on the offense, or one on A and one on B? Or do we have a live ball foul on A and a dead ball foul on B? And so if we have a live ball foul on A, on the offense, and then a dead ball foul on B, then we would enforce the live ball foul from the previous spot, and then we enforce the dead ball foul from that succeeding spot. So we'd enforce both penalties. If these are both live ball, meaning a live ball foul on A, live ball foul on B, then they would cancel each other out or offset, and we would go back and play from the previous spot, replay the down. But so the emphasis here is, point of emphasis is that we need to know the foul we have, where it occurred, when it occurred, and more importantly, when it occurred, because if it's a live ball, two live ball fouls, it changes from if it's a live ball and a dead ball foul, the enforcements are different. So we need to know the status of the ball, whether the ball is a live ball or dead ball at the time of the foul. So if we're calling live ball fouls or dead ball fouls, that will be a different and impact the outcome. So we do need to pay attention to that and make sure we know the status of the ball when we call our penalties. Our next play here, we're going to look at the quarterback who scrambles on this play and runs and slides down. We're going to talk about the sliding player. Any runner who slides is down when they begin their slide, when they make contact here. So this looks about the 22-yard line, and then he slides on down to the 20-yard line. So we would spot this ball right about in this vicinity of the 22-yard line when he's going down into his slide and makes contact with the ground here. We do not want to give that additional sliding distance, which sometimes happens. So this is where forward progress spotting comes in. You can see the ball's properly spotted on the next play. Our next three plays all occurred in the same game, and we're going to focus right down here for 88 in blue and 13 in white. Okay, and we can see right here during the play or towards the end of the play, dead ball time, we can see the two players engaging each other. And we've got a little bit of push to the face here and a shove and so forth. And so this is away from the play a little bit. And so the point here on, we're going to see this is three plays from the same game. The point here is we have to be aware of this. It makes it difficult in a five-person crew, but we have to look off ball at times to look for this. We have to be aware that this is going on. Otherwise, this could develop into something more serious, and we want to prevent that instead of allowing it to continue to escalate. And we need to address it early in the game if we visualize it. And the only way we're going to be able to see this is, like I said, we can't all be looking at the ball. We sometimes have to glance off ball for things like this, away from the ball. I know it takes our eyes off of the area, but we have to glance. We have to have our head kind of on a swivel to be able to monitor this so that we can address this as needed. Final play on this week's video, it was sent in by one of the officials working the game who indicated they didn't catch this. So we have 10 players up there inside the first set of circles, and then we have 11 and 12 inside these second two sets. So we have 12 on the field at this point in time. And we can see the back judge up at 50, and the return player is behind him back around the 35. So he doesn't see the return player. Apparently, the return player came on late after they had already counted. So we need to be vigilant and keeping an eye on this so that we can catch this, because they do have 12 on the field. So if we can catch this before the snap happens, it would be an illegal substitution, 5-yard penalty. But in this case, the snap goes off and the return player is definitely involved in the play. Even though he doesn't pick it up, he goes towards it. So this would be now illegal participation, which changes it to a 15-yard penalty. So be alert, be aware for this. And as you can see here, we can count the 12 players again being on the field for the defense or the white team, which in this case would have been a foul. I want to thank you for taking the time for viewing the week 3 educational video. Appreciate your feedback and comments in the comment section on the videos. Until next time, have a great week and take care. And we'll see you next time if you watch our week 4 video.